Welcome everybody to another episode of Noodle Doodle. I am your host, Lazaro Gomez, and we're gonna do like we always do on Noodle Doodle. Enjoy some lovely coffee. I have my vape. I have some drawing utensils, and of course the handy dandy 300 drawing prompt book. Yes, we do. All right, so for this week's topics, we have a bowl of okay. So we have a bubbling cauldron, we have a crystal ball, alphabet soup, and rubber duck in a bathtub. Or sorry, in a bubble bath is what it is. So hmm, I don't know. I think alphabet soup is kind of calling out to me since it kind of fits the topic for today. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about branding and what that means. Um, and it's a pretty good topic for anybody who is like me. You're an artist or YouTuber or podcaster or whatever. But if you're a creative person and you have something that you want to put out there, uh, branding is part of it, and we'll talk about that. Mm, coffee. If you're new to Noodle Doodle, I do this podcast every morning, every Sunday morning, and so I like to wake up, enjoy my coffee, kind of think about what I'm gonna do throughout the day. So today's a pretty busy day at home and also with commissions. So, of course, I balance everything out. And perhaps I'll do a podcast about that. But um, yeah, I don't really think much about what we're doing here because this is my de stress time or kind of my chill time. But today, I do have to do the oil changes on 3 vehicles. Everyday life type deal. Do the groceries, and then of course I have to do some 3D printing for some clients, some custom pops and other things. Um, so yeah, but all of that got me thinking about branding, and it's important in the sense of you can go one of two ways. You can be a creative person and create whatever you want, paint whatever you want, do whatever you want, and not have to worry about branding ever, right? Because you simply just create things for the love of it, and that's it. But when it comes to the commercial aspect of it, if you want to have a business and you want to put your stuff out there, then branding is a big deal because you have to you have to worry about those things, right? And everywhere you go, anywhere you go, you're gonna see some kind of branding, some kind of image of anything and everything, right? So I mean, just look around, from retail stores to DJs to uh, to movie studios and everything else. Everything is branded, and what I mean by branded is basically your introduction to the world of who you are and what you do. So of course, in branding, you have different ways to get your name out, and just kind of let everybody know who you are. And when I first started as an artist, um, that idea was implanted in my mind when I was in college. Um, and even then, we were studying, or I was studying commercial art, commercial art, or what's known as graphic design now. And there was no social media. There was, the internet was brand new, so everybody was kind of thinking about websites, uh, thinking about websites, logo designs, newsletter, or yeah, like company newsletters that they would send on emails, and just very small things. But it was the big like .com boom, and everybody wanted a website, and if you could design web pages and you knew HTML, you could make pretty good money. So I learned a little bit of HTML while I was in college. There was a student that went to my school that knew HTML early on, and he was studying art, and at the same time he was creating websites on his own for clients and stuff like that, which was pretty smart because it paid for a lot of the materials and it paid for the classes and books and everything else. So it was he was kind of ahead of his time. But at the time I was like, who cares about all this crap? Why do companies want everybody to know who they are and this and that, whatever? And I was very naive to the thought that um, that this would be important to anybody. And starting out in that field, because I started out as a graphic designer, so I went to school for graphic design. Uh, Later on, started a company when I moved to Orlando, and did that for a few years, and then quickly got out of it. I just It wasn't my passion. I was kind of like stuck in this, like, hey, do my logo, hey, do my website, hey, change the color, from yellow to yellow on my website, and I need you to do this now because there's people looking at my website, and blah 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 blah, and on and on and on. And it quickly, like, all right, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. So I took the company apart and moved into a new direction. But um, the idea of branding always stuck with me. And so now, fast forward, my company is BOT10ART, and I do a lot of things under that umbrella, and that's my brand. It's BOT10ART. And I kept thinking about, all right, well, what do I want to do? I love doing props. I love making props for cosplay and for different things, independent films and whatnot. I love doing artwork, all of my art and that side of things. It's all the painting, the prints, and whatever else, comes to mind. Um, I like doing YouTube, and I like doing a podcast. And, back then it was just art. I love doing art. So I quickly discovered that, okay, well, if I can encompass everything under BOT10ART, it'll make sense to whoever I speak to about BOT10ART, because I'm in the field. This is a profession. This is what I do, and doing shows and stuff like that. I could say, yeah, I'm Lazaro Gomez from BOT10ART, and so on and so forth. Oh, well, what do you do? Oh, you're an artist. Oh, it's more than that. So as things progress and as I get interested in different things, I can add it under the umbrella. So, I do custom toys. So it's BOT10ART or BOT10 toys, BOT10 props, so on and BOT10ART. So BOT10ART, BOT10 toys, and props. Boom, boom. And then, of course, I write tutorials for Instructables.com, and I have a weekly art show, which is the Friday night live stream, where I show all of these different things. I show custom pops, how to make custom pops and stuff like that, how to make props, 3D printed props and stuff like that, and artwork, and so on and so forth. So every week there's something different, and very much just like this podcast. Every week there's something different. There's a different topic, and a different piece of artwork. So alphabet soup. But yeah, talking about branding and thinking about all those things, you have to kind of be aware of that sort of stuff. Like when you start out, doing artwork, you kind of, well, I just love doing artwork, and that's great. That's good. You know, um, that sort of stuff is good. And you move on from there. You decide, okay, well, I want to take this to a commercial platform. I want to really, like, I want to start a business. I want to sell art prints. I want to do this and that, whatever, blah blah. And then now you just can't be Lazaro Gomez. I mean, I guess you can, because those are branding too. You have, God knows, everything else. People brand themselves. um, but to me, I like the idea of separating the two. Like, you could be a person and have a brand. I don't know. That I guess I'll leave that up to your discretion, for you to decide. But for me, I've always liked a company. Toys R Us. It's Jeffrey's Toys. Wouldn't have the same ring as Toys R Us. Um, you know, Bezos. Hey, come shop at Bezos or Amazon. So that sort of stuff. So, oh, are you on Zuckerberg? Yeah, cool. Okay, well, so am I. It's like, no, you're on Facebook. So that's of course, that's the difference. And to me, I think a lot of the success of a brand has to do with a few things, and one of them is the structure of the company. Like, who are you? What do you do? What's your motive? You have people that have good motives, and you have people that have bad motives. It's just like, oh, we're just out to make money, so whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. And that's fine too. That's great. But I think people in general can kind of see through that, and they could, oh, this guy's just out to make money, or he's a really good AC guy, you know, and that's the difference. Or this company is the best roofer, because they're polite, they're clean, they're nice, they're neat, their prices are good, they work with you. So see, all those different taglines are coming along, and I think that right there is what builds a brand, right? So, like, why do you like this company? Oh, because of XYZ, and they're really, really cool, and I support them. And I think a long time ago people didn't really think about that, as or they weren't as critical or crucial as they are now. Like now, you could accidentally say something wrong, and here come the pitchforks and the fire, and they're coming to kill Frankenstein's monster, right? Just for a simple mistake. But a brand is something that's really powerful, because you go back in time, and it's the Ford Motor Company, it's Sears. Even though Sears is now dying out, but man, they've been around forever, and it was like, I need a fridge, let's go to Sears. That sort of stuff. That's branding. That's Radio Shack, those kinds of things. And so for me, I'm always conscious about that. You know, does this fit my brand? Does this work for me? Am I, am I taking the right steps, moving in the right direction to take my company where I want it to go? And for me, I've always had a very laid back disposition. I love having fun. If you tune into the if you tune into the Friday night live stream, you'll know that I like having fun. So you know, that sort of stuff plays a factor, right? If you're not enjoying what you do, then what's the point of doing it? And I think I've always held that reservation, like, um, I always say the same thing. I'm gonna do something until it's no longer fun. So, um, and I have stuck to that philosophy. I've really stuck to it, and there hasn't been anything that has not been fun for me. Like everything I want to do or do, um, has been great, has been fun, you know. And like I said, the only thing is, like, when I was doing graphic arts, I quickly figured out that that wasn't for me. It was not fun, and I just, like, okay, we're done here. I abandoned it, and I think that's important to recognize, because there's so much different things now, so many different, um, outlets, and just ways that you can do things. What do I want to say? I guess whatever it is that you want to do, that you have a passion for, it's a lot easier now to kind of put it out in the world than it did a few years back. If you wanted to do toys, it was like a niche little, you know, little community that collected vinyl toys or were into toys in general. And now it's like a big toy boom. Everybody loves toys. Everybody collects little figures and trinkets and whatnot. Of course, Funko Pop contributing a lot to that, and just, it's a whole different thing now. It's just different. Like, there's people are passionate about what they collect, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that people my age, um, grew up in the '80s or whatnot. They got to a position in life where they could afford this sort of stuff, and so they have a passion for He-Man and GI Joe and Transformers, and whatever the case may be, and they support these things, right? They support, I know I do. For me, I've always loved Garbage Pail Kids, those little stickers from the '80s, and so now, now they're making. I have one somewhere. I have quite a few on my shelf over there, but I had one here on my desk. Um, but yeah, now they're making these little vinyl toys that you can collect, and it's kind of the same thing. Instead of stickers, they're little vinyl toys. So again, there's a market for that, um, and that sort of stuff. So I think nowadays, we're more aware of what that is, and our likes and dislikes, and all that good stuff. So it all plays a role in the world as we are right now. And I think it's great. I think that's something that, I think it's great. I think it's great. I think that people find different ways to express themselves, and so when it comes to branding, that's what I think about. How am I expressing myself? How am I gonna tell people what I do and how I do it, and my philosophies and all that good stuff? Because I could very easily just, like, artwork here, take it, artwork here, take it, and I could do that, but what is it saying about me? Like, are people just after the artwork, or are they truly enjoy what it is that I do, and they're a fan of BOT10 art? And those are all the things I think about And if you're new and you're starting out and you love to do artwork and you want more people to see it, um, that's that's all part of it. You know, you have to think about graphics and stuff like that. So whenever I do something, I think about that sort of stuff. You know, it's like, how's this photo gonna look online? And of course, part of what I do is, working those things out. How's my logo? How's my layout? How's this? How's that? And it's trial and error. Of course, you're never gonna satisfy everyone when it comes to branding. um, God knows there's been like tons and tons of controversial ads and photos out there from companies, and they're not apologetic. They know what they're doing, but it's all part of branding. And so, I'm the same way. I'm aware of what I'm putting out. You might get a typo here and there or something. You messed up somewhere. Okay, we get that, but that of course obviously is not intentional. But like a strategically placed ad somewhere is branding, and it's just uh, keeping your name and keeping your company in the mind of people. Like it's very simple. It's like Kleenex. Kleenex is the perfect example of that. Um, People ask for a Kleenex. Oh, I need a Kleenex. I need a Kleenex. I need a Kleenex. But really, what you're asking for is a tissue paper. I need a tissue paper. But they brand it so well that people just ask for a Kleenex. They ask for a Kleenex. And same thing with soda. It's like, oh, I want a Coke. I want a Coke. I want a Coke. For some people, it's I want a Coke. For some people, it's I want a Pepsi. And then for other people, it's a soda. So that is a sample of, really, really competitive branding. And that's the sort of stuff that you need to think about if you're an artist or a musician or whatever. It's it's nothing new. A lot of people know this sort of stuff. A lot of people in the industry know. So obviously, if you're in the industry listening to this, eh, I'm preaching to the choir, right? So sometimes, there's the good and bad, right? There's the good and bad, and sometimes companies don't want you to know this sort of stuff. They don't want you to know that they're marketing to you and pushing their brand. Uh, and that's something I've seen as well. So you have to be mindful of that sort of stuff. You have to watch out for that. Unless you're, how are they gonna, how are people gonna perceive you and perceive your company? Are you an evil corporation? I don't think all corporations are evil, of course. um, but I mean, corruption is anywhere and everywhere, right? No matter who you are, you're not safe from it. No one ever is. No company ever is safe from corruption. You have some people that, they push the envelope. They push the envelope of what is decent and normal and good and all of that just to kind of, make a buck. So I think, um, I think that's a real thing. I think that happens. And I think for the most part, companies don't mean it to happen, but it does. And then it's how they deal with it from there, how they move forward from there. So yeah, like I said, if you're new to art and you want to put your name out, it could be anything. It could be a YouTube channel, it could be a podcast, just like this one, or you could just have an online art store. on Etsy or your own website or anywhere else, you're gonna have to think about that sort of stuff. You're gonna have to start thinking about that. Right now, I have one of my clients. I'm not gonna go into the details, but one of my clients does have a Twitch channel, and we're currently working on rebranding his channel. So he hired me to create artwork, to create some graphical elements that he can add into his Twitch channel to kind of spoof it up, to make it better and kind of make it more appealing to other people, so that he could build his audience, so that he could move forward and work on his passion. He loves doing what he does, and he reached out to me and said, hey, you came recommended. I want to work with you and kind of work on my channel. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I want. And we started working together. So he's one of my clients. Now, I don't normally do a lot of graphical stuff. As a matter of fact, I've turned down quite a lot of logos and all that good stuff, because I didn't want to fall back into that whole life of like building stuff and making logos and blah blah blah. Like, I don't know, to me, I'm more artistic than that. And if you want a logo, then obviously go to a company that does that. Go to a company that does branding, and that'll help you out. A graphic, like a graphic design firm or whatever. It's a lot better, at least I think so, than me trying to, make something for you. But in this particular case, I took it on because the actual artwork that I'm creating is very artistic, and it's pretty cool. It has digital painting elements to it, and that's what I liked. And hopefully I do right by him, and if not, then but nah, we'll be fine. He's very happy with what I've done, and so am I. So am I. So that's it. That's what that's basically branding in a nutshell. I don't know if this has been useful to you at all, or maybe you just enjoy me drawing a tentacle that's trying to get all the alphabet soup. But yeah, if you're not having a good time, then what's the point, right? So I like to have a good time. And yeah, so think about that stuff. Think about when you're walking around, or when you're in stores, different locations. You'd be surprised how much branding is out there, and how much advertisement, and we're constantly being bombarded with. And it's like, here, buy my brand, here, buy my brand, here, my brand. And it's gotten to the point where they're actually paying influencers, right? They're paying people on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, and all this stuff to get their product out. And yeah, I would fall suit in that. I'm not one of those people. I'm not an influencer. I'm not any of that. But I fit suit in that world. I'm in that world because I'm building your trust with my company, and say, hey, if you want something done artistically or whatnot, yeah, I'm your guy, right? But the difference between an influencer and someone like me is, they're getting paid by a brand, and they say, okay, well, you're gonna wear this hat right here for 200 of your videos, and I'm gonna pay you like 10 grand. Nothing else. If you wear somebody else's, the contract is done, blah blah blah. So those kinds of deals happen, right, within branding. Where for me, it's not like that, And okay, well, I'm an artist. I could be approached by, um, I don't know, Sakura, right? Let's say Sakura. They hire me to only use micron pens, right? So Sakura can reach out to me and say, hey, you have a successful art channel and this and that, whatever. I want you to use my micron pens whenever you do artwork, nothing else, and only mention us, or and this and that, whatever. Which they're in a unique position, anyways, because a lot of artists on YouTube already use microns, especially for Inktober. Uh, but if that was the case, then I would consider it. I would, it's not about receiving a paycheck. It's like, okay, cool. Well, I use micron pens anyways, and I like the brand. Might as well go for it. But I'm never going to be, at least I hope not. I'm never going to be, that artist creating a video and it's like, hey, this video is sponsored by whatever, some crazy company that I don't even know or like or support or anything like that. If I was approached by I don't know, 8 o'clock coffee. Okay, cool. I drink 8 o'clock coffee. Vape Dojo. This is my e-juice that I use. If they said, hey, blah blah blah, it's a little bit dicey because it doesn't have anything to do with artwork or anything like that. Unless I was talking about how cool their logo is, or some kind of artistic value, then okay. But in general, yeah, I don't like to promote vaping, to the vaping or smoking or anything like that because it's not conducive to what my business is. So that's the difference, Someone that's just like out for money, it's like, yes, 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 yes. Hi, welcome. This video is sponsored by, XYZ company. And oh, by the way, this part is sponsored by blah, blah. And you have like millions of ads on. So then you only have like a little tiny spot. And that's what we do. And it just gets crazy, right? It starts looking like every single web page you visit, every single website you go to, it's like ad here, ad there, ad this, this, and that, blah, blah. And it's all like, some of it makes sense. If I go to like, I don't know, CompUSA, well, let's say Newegg, right? I go to Newegg. Yeah, there's ads for like hard drives and flash drives and, cameras and this and that, whatever. I get it. I get it. They're a computer company. So those ads make sense. But if I go to Newegg and I start seeing like Viagra and you need this for male and enhancements, it's like, really, dude, come on. Like, I don't know, to me that it doesn't make any sense to do that sort of stuff. So you have to be aware, you have to be conscious, and as you grow your brand and you get in front of audiences and you become bigger or whatever, however you want to call it, because I measure success in different ways, right? If I made $10 million in a single year, someone will be like, wow, man, that's successful. But, I didn't really grow artistically, so that's not successful to me. But anyways, let's say you grow your brand, it's popular, everybody likes it, this and that, whatever. And then, those are those are things you got to think about. Like, are you gonna be the Viagra in the in the computer website? I hope not. But I think you as a as a company owner, it's your name, it's your brand. You can drive it and direct it where it needs to be, where you want to be. And I think, at least for me personally, I like to think that I'm moving BOT10ART in a positive direction, and I'm taking my time, and I'm cautious about what I want to do and who I want to associate with and those kinds of things. So that's it. That's branding. Thank you for watching on YouTube, and thanks for listening. Anywhere you hear podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. I'll be uploading this particular episode and all the other episodes of Noodle Doodle on SoundCloud. If you listen there, it's also available on my YouTube channel, BOT10ART. There's branding. I hope you guys had a wonderful week. Also, I wanted to say, if you are a fan of Noodle Doodle or you're new to Noodle Doodle, you might want to subscribe. You might want to give me some likes. That helps me out. It helps put out my name. Hey, I gotta do it since we're talking about branding, right? But no, really. If you enjoyed the podcast, I thank you very much that you took your time and listened to this. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend. The weekend. It is Sunday, so I hope your Sunday goes well. We'll see you next week for another episode of Noodle Doodle, and probably another topic with I don't know. I kind of like this page, so we may continue on. I don't know. I have no idea. But anyways, as always, thanks for watching. I'm Lazaro Gomez. We'll see you next week. Bye bye. We'll see you next week.